So if we're talking about the American dream that you live, why don't I have access to that? Because there's no legislation, what, in the history of America that legislates a man's body. So why does mine have to be legislated?
All right, so what is going on here? Well, Ben Shapiro decided to go on to Jubilee and allow himself to be surrounded by people who disagree with him. And then these individuals were allowed to come up and challenge him, question him, talk to him, whatever, however you want to put it. This one individual here in the video, this one guy is got like all the talking points and it doesn't make any sense. And it's kind of hilarious to watch. So let's dive into this video and see what's going on here. All right, so what's going on is they all get to like run up to the chair, and whoever gets there first gets to talk to Ben. And look at him. He's turning the chair around. He's gonna have the chair backwards. I always thought that was like the kind of the casual, like, we need to talk, but I'm trying to be your buddy about this sort of posture to have on a chair. And as we saw in the opening clip, this guy is not trying to be Ben's buddy.
Well, okay, we're gonna take this chair up. Look at that.
Hey, Ben.
Like a bro, my friend. All right.
How's it going?
Let's break open.
So first question.
I like how Ben is just like open to this. He's like, yeah, just talk to me. What do we got? What do we got going on? What are we talking about? And this guy wants to just eviscerate this poor man.
Can men get pregnant?
Men cannot get pregnant.
Okay, awesome. So
Definitionally.
definitionally, okay. Do men experience SA?
Yeah, that's the definition. I mean, men are the ones who impregnate. Women are the ones who get impregnated. And I just watched a video by Potholer54, and he was talking about gender and gender identity, and he was saying that, like, oh, there's a woman who was identified as having cells in her body that were both male and female. So that her body was made up of both male and female cells. She's some sort of conjoined twin sort of a person. Basically, that sort of route that her gestation took. So you can't use the XY chromosomes, okay? I'm like, well, we're talking about a kind of person who can get pregnant, a kind of person who can impregnate. Those are the differences definitionally, right? Like, there's a lot of men out there who've been cut. They've had a vasectomy. They cannot get a woman pregnant. But that doesn't mean they're not men, okay? There are men out there who are born who cannot produce sperm, okay? It doesn't mean they're not men. They are of the type. They are of the kind that would impregnate. Therefore, they're men. It's just so silly to try to split hairs on any of this stuff. Yeah, there's intersex people, okay? I've had many jobs in my life. And in some of those jobs, I had to check IDs. I worked in security. I worked in restaurants. And I never saw on anybody's ID a third gender listed. It was either male or female. And I'm sure that I've checked enough people IDs over the years that I've come across somebody who was intersex. They probably didn't even know they were intersex, honestly. This is how little being intersex matters. Which way do they lean? That's all we need to know.
Sexual assault.
Sure.
Got it. What about the existence of trans men?
Let me rewind that here. Just a moment here. Because he said, can men be victims of sexual assault? So I'll rewind it so we can hear that again.
Do men experience SA? Sexual assault.
Sure.
Got it. What about the existence of trans men?
What about the existence? Do you mean women who believe that they are men? What are we talking about here? Women experiencing gender dysphoria?
So my other question is, do you benefit from white supremacy in any way, shape, or form?
I'm going to need more specifics on what you mean by white
Well, here,
supremacy.
let me give it to you then.
Like, do you benefit from white supremacy? Yeah, what is white supremacy? Can you define it? Can you give me a specific definition of white supremacy? Would my life be worse if I weren't white? My life has been pretty bad. It's been pretty harsh. Okay, I could go into detail. I've been poor most of my life. I'm doing all right now, but most of my life I haven't had enough money to hardly keep from being homeless. Most of my adult life, I should say. My childhood was no picnic. I mean, I had a lot of good times, a lot of fun memories from my childhood, but I was also exposed to a lot of violence, a lot of negativity. So are you saying that I would be worse off had I been black? I would be worse off had I been Hispanic or Asian? Really? Can you prove that I would be worse off if I would have had those experiences, the different racial experiences in the United States? Because Asian people are killing it in the United States. Oh, he's going to turn the chair around here again, by the way.
Sure, please.
So I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
Turn the chair around. Oh, and look, takes on the gorilla stance because this person just said, I'm a transgender man. This person is a female who is pretending to be a male. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. Don't hurt people who are of this persuasion. I don't think that's okay. I think that this is a psychological problem, and they want to tell me they were born this way. Like, no, you weren't born this way. It was a psychological issue that has happened. I suppose on a rare occasion, a person like the woman I mentioned previously who had both male and female cells in her body. Her body's made up of both male and female cells. I suppose on a very rare occasion, a person could be born in the wrong body in that, yeah, their cells just got so mixed up that they were just barely leaning one way. Who knows? You can't count her cells. Maybe she's actually male. Maybe she has more male cells than female cells in her body. So that would make her, male, but then born in the wrong body. So yeah, biology does some weird stuff, but that has got to be an extremely rare exception. Come on, how many people have experienced that situation throughout human history? Probably not common at all.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly.
Okay, so you've experienced SA, and abortion rights affect you directly. Why do abortion rights affect you directly? Are you going to be pregnant? Are you going to get pregnant? And how are you going to do that since you're a man? Now, you've been SA. That's horrible. That's terrible. You should not experience that. That should not be something that human beings even comprehend. It should be so foreign to us. Unfortunately, we're not that way. How has anything that Ben Shapiro has said ever been an impact negatively on survivors of SA, victims of SA? I don't follow the logic there. I'm sure that I've talked about these things before in the past, because I'm sure I've heard people saying, oh, look, Donald Trump is trying to get rid of rights for people who've been victims of SA or something in some regard. Nobody's doing that. Nobody thinks it's okay for another person to touch you in a sexual manner unless you invite that touch. Well, there are some sick people who believe that that's okay, but those people are sick, and we know that. The normal people agree. Yeah, that's sick. The only thing I've seen where they have any kind of point at all is when they want to make forced oral penetration grape. And I'm like, no, that's not grape. It's definitely SA. I'm not going to say it's not SA, but it's not grape. Those are two different things, okay?
So if we're talking about the American dream that you live, why don't I have access to that? Because there's no legislation, in the history of America that legislates a man's body, so why does mine have to be legislated?
Okay, here, buddy. Your body is a man's body, according to you. Are you a man or are you a woman? Make up your mind. And there is legislation that legislates a man's body. I don't have a foreskin. Wonder why? That's right. No, there's no law, or in fact, it's against the law to remove healthy female body parts, unless, it's for medical reasons or the woman requests this. The female agrees to it. I had no say. Because believe me, if I had to say, like, no, you're getting that knife away from me. That knife is not coming near. No. Not gonna happen.
What, pray tell, sir, is a circumcision?
Oh, it's the latest rage. The ladies love it.
Well, I want one.
Oh, I'll take two.
Hey, put me down too, man. I get one. I'm game. How's it done?
Just snap. I take my little machine. I take your little thing. See? I put it into this little hole here and nip the tip. Who's first?
Oh, I changed my mind.
I forgot. I already got one.
Question.
And what about the draft? There's so many laws out there that legislate a man's body. Like, a woman cannot be charged of what I mentioned earlier, SA in the mouth. A woman could never grape anyone in the mouth. In fact, a woman, she can forcibly envelop a man. I think it's considered rape now, but wasn't for a long time. So there's all sorts of legislation against a man's body that doesn't apply to a woman's body. I'm sure there's vice versa. There's just laws that we try to, build a system where we can all kind of get along and not do mean things to each other. And then there's people out there who want to do mean things to other people. And so we got to say, okay, well, this is a law. You can't break that law because that's not nice. These people are so delusional. I don't understand how these woke idiots, this tells me like why people are melting down over the results of the election. Get over it. Don't melt down over the results of an election. This is our system. This is how it works. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That's how it goes.
Legislated. I've got a vagina.
I'm not interested in what your genitalia are.
Clearly you are. It's all over everything you make, buddy. I'm sorry. I hate to say it to you, but
I think you can read on my face that I
obsession
radically am
you guys
not.
have.
I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. When we're talking about
No, I
abortion,
don't. You can present it here, but in most of the content that you have, you attack my community constantly. And you don't even realize guys like me exist who actually share a lot.
Here's a couple of signs I want to show you. I saw these signs when I was moving out to California. Dust storms don't exist either, apparently. Or maybe they do, maybe they don't. We can't figure it out. Nobody's saying that trans people don't exist. We're just saying that it's a mental problem. It's psychological in nature. It's not physiological.
A lot of similarities to you and everything, because I'm a married man of 20 years.
I
got a
recognize
wife.
that you exist. I disagree with your
Right.
claim
So
that you
if
are
I
a
was
male.
sexually assaulted, right, and I didn't have access to that abortion care, do you believe that I should have carried that child to term because
What does
I
this
was
have to-
sexually assaulted?
I mean,
No, I just want to make sure that that's what you believe. Because as a transgender man, I have seen your side of the entire political debate, never ever having the conversation of what an American freedom is. Because why am I not allowed to live my American freedom as a man? You know, I mean, you get your choice as a man to live and free and all that.
You're really moving.
Yeah, this guy's all over the place, right? And he's allowed to live his American freedom as a man. He has every right to do the things that men do. Obviously, he can't do all the things that men do because he doesn't have a wiener. This argument that he's using here was the same argument that got Roe v. Wade passed in the first place. So the argument that if I am forcibly given a baby to take care of, I have every right to cancel that baby and then walk away. But my counter argument to that is, don't interpret anything I'm saying as me taking a side on abortion. I'm not. I'm just saying my counter argument to this whole abortion thing is, look, if you are a victim of SA and you get pregnant, why is it the baby's fault? It's not the baby's fault. Now, then again, you could argue back, well, you're putting this woman's body through something that she didn't ask to be put through, and it could potentially have serious health complications, even and including ending her life. So, maybe allowing her to end the pregnancy is the better option, right? That's what the Roe v. Wade the arguments for Roe v. Wade were not so nuanced. They were just like, oh yeah, after 9 months, you'll be able to walk out of the room, you'll be fine, and you just have to stay there for 9 months to hooked up to this other person, and nothing bad is going to happen to you. And I'm like, yeah, that's a very, very narrow interpretation of the situation. Very narrow interpretation of the situation. Like I said, I'm not taking sides on abortion. That's up to you to decide.
Moving around terminology very wildly here.
And so are you, because that's the tactics you play in your game. And you've done it the entire time. You jump from one subject to the next. You speak so fast, and I know how you work. So how does it feel to have it in your face?
Well, I mean...
Because I'm sick and tired of...
Wow. So people are agreeing with him. That he's a fast talker, and he's just like throwing around terminology and stuff. And I don't watch Ben Shapiro enough to say, no. I mean, I'm sure I could make plenty of videos tearing down Ben Shapiro, but that's just the nature of the beast here. If you put yourself out there on the internet, people are going to be able to criticize you and pick you apart.
Of the shit that you have put against my community, especially black trans women, because you constantly disregard all of our needs and then use us politically as a pawn when we're 1% of the population. Why not focus on the economy itself? All of us are struggling, and you want to focus on trans people. You want to focus on a black woman when this is clearly a glass cliff situation. America's falling apart, and let's give it to a woman right when it's all falling apart. When we had, 50 men run it, and it looks like shit? Look at where we're at. Surely.
It looks like crap. Yeah, you're right. America is just doing terrible. And America has the standard of living is such that I've seen has fallen off in many ways in my lifetime. I've seen a lot of things come up that have made it more difficult to live in America. The economy it has just really kind of tanked from where it was when I was younger. This is serious problems we have going on here. But do you think that a woman would make it better? You think that the solution to the problem is to vote a woman into office, especially one as vapid and stupid as Camel Toe Harris? Yeah, she's not going to solve the problem. And hey, look, it turned out that Trump got in there and things are starting to change. All right? Again, I don't have a dog in this fight. I do actually in this case because it affects me, affects all of us. But I'm not saying you should vote for Trump or not vote for Trump, but look, he got into office and he started changing things. He started going after different things in our government. So
where do you think that we're heading? I mean, it's so funny to watch white supremacy just fall apart the way that it is, and you ride so hard. Because guess what? In other countries around the world, women are not having children. And why is it? Because of the patriarchy and all the violence that men perpetuate and all of this idea.
Really? Women aren't having babies in other countries because of the patriarchy, the violence that men perpetuate. Well, when the patriarchy was much more of a thing, assuming it ever was a thing, but when we were possibly patriarchal, a time when we were possibly patriarchal in the West, we were having like 8, 10, 12 kids at a time. Now, we are definitely less patriarchal than we were in the past, and we have fewer kids, so you tell me.
That abortion is somehow going to solve it all by forcing women to have abortion instead of focusing on the real problems that we're facing in our society. We're just going to completely ignore that, and we're just going to go, you know what? The line item is, let's make women have babies so that we can continue this capitalistic society that we have. Why are we doing that? What? I mean, why? Because you want to push white supremacy and because...
So, capitalism is white supremacy. All right, then I didn't know, but apparently, you know, the expert here has spoken. White supremacy is not really a thing. Out of all the supremacists you could have, like, whites are the least supremacist of all of them, of all the races, really. If you look at what white people do in their countries, they allow people of any race to immigrate and to integrate, or not to integrate. In the case of Europe, they have their own enclaves. This is what's going on in Europe, is that they're allowing blacks and browns to come in, and they're, like, doing their own thing. And the whites are like, okay, we don't have white supremacy. So you can come here and live your life, etc. Make it make sense to me.
Because you want to make your check. It does great for you. Meanwhile, people like me have to live with the consequences of all of your rhetoric that you put on a daily basis.
But you're not a black or a brown. So I don't know what to tell you. You're a white person. Am I delusional here? This person looks like a white person. Maybe they're a little Hispanic. Maybe. I don't really see it though. Looks like a white person to me.
And including my entire community and the intersectionalities of black women, men that experience SA, trans people, everyone that comes in. And I'm so sick of the idea that you can come in with this bravado, that you're this big guy that knows things because you can talk fast, you have statistics. But really, what does it really matter at the end of the day if you are harming the entire American? This guy's been accused of rape, Trump, in like court documents, and you're backing the guy. Like, you have children.
Didn't he win that case? I don't know. I mean, pretty sure he won that case. And it was a civil case. It wasn't a criminal case. So, and there was a lot of questions as to whether or not it actually would have, I mean, it didn't really make sense the way that it was described as happening. I didn't follow it that closely, but from what I could tell, I was like, yeah, this doesn't really add up, but I don't know. So
How could you do that to your own? Don't you have a daughter? Like, what is wrong with you, dude? I've never seen such a party just completely like the American idea, what we believe in as a country, is not what you're perpetuating. It's diversity. It's giving you tired, hungry, and poor. The Google phone you have in your pocket is because of all the diversity we've had.
Pause.
Pleasure to meet you.
oh, he got him by offering him his hand, and Ben Shapiro almost shook it, but then he pulled it away. Ooh, burn. I don't think that Ben Shapiro really cares, because Ben Shapiro was being a gentleman. And what you do in any competition as a gentleman is you shake hands, because it's not about the individual. This person, something this person did not get at all. It's not about the individual. It's about the idea. So it's about the competition itself. It's not about, I disrespect you as a person. It's, no, your ideas are wrong. Or, hey, I'm going to compete against you fairly in this field of combat.
Okay. There's a lot of tension in the room now. Let's stay cordial.
He says, I know Blair, by the way, too, or I'm friends with Blair. I didn't quite read it. It was on the screen for just a second there. Okay. Is that true? Are you friends with Blair? And would Blair, like, come up and be like, hey, Ben, you're stupid because I'm trans? I don't know that Blair would do that.
Oh, let's stay respectful, please. Please, please.
All right. Well, anyway, this video is a long one. It is over an hour and a half long. I will leave a link to it down in the comments. Please feel free to check it out yourself. And I'll probably end up doing more of these because they're a hoot. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.